Two Americans arrested in Indian borders in just a few months, both with no documents, both with sketchy stories, both suddenly claiming special forces backgrounds. And now people are starting to ask a question nobody wants to say out loud. Is India getting even with us? Because let's rewind for a second and actually understand why this matters. Back in 2023, the U.S. Justice Department dropped a bombshell that most people have already forgotten about. They accused an Indian government employee named Nikhil Gupta of orchestrating a murder-for-hire plot on American soil, targeting a Sikh separatist leader living right here in the United States. This wasn't some random street crime. This case pointed directly at Indian intelligence operating inside American borders, allegedly trying to eliminate a U.S. resident. It created a massive diplomatic firestorm, and it embarrassed New Delhi on the world stage in a way they have never fully recovered from. Gupta ended up getting extradited to the United States, and he's been sitting in an American jail ever since, awaiting trial for conspiracy to commit murder. That case is still active. It never actually went away. So now, fast forward to today, and suddenly we've got two American citizens getting scooped up on Indian soil under circumstances that honestly feel kind of thin when you really look at them. First, there's Matthew Van Dyke, an American with a long history in conflict zones like Libya, Syria, Iraq, and Ukraine. This is a guy who spent over a decade building a reputation as a security trainer and advisor in some of the most dangerous places on Earth. He gets arrested near the Myanmar border in India's northeast, accused of training militants and teaching them how to operate advanced weapons. Then, just weeks later, a second American, a guy named Jordan Brown from California, gets caught trying to cross into Nepal with no passport, no visa, just some cash and two mobile phones on him. No hard evidence of espionage in either case has actually been made public. No confirmed intelligence ties. Just accusations, vague claims about special forces backgrounds, and a whole lot of Indian media coverage painting these guys as dangerous foreign operatives before any real investigation is even concluded. And that's exactly why people are connecting the dots here. Because if you're India and you just got humiliated internationally over the Gupta assassination plot, what's the easiest way to save face domestically while sending a quiet message back to Washington? You start scooping up random Americans on paperwork violations, dress it up as a national security threat, splash it across every news channel, and suddenly the narrative shifts from India being the country caught planning a murder on American soil to India being the country protecting its borders from dangerous American operatives. It doesn't even have to be some coordinated plan from the top. It just has to look good on Indian television, and it just has to make Washington uncomfortable enough to start negotiating quietly behind closed doors instead of pushing the Gupta case too hard in public. Here's the thing, though. We don't actually have proof that's what's happening, and it's important we're honest about that. Indian officials maintain that Van Dyke's group really was training armed groups near a sensitive border region, and Brown genuinely cannot produce a single document explaining how he entered the country, why he was living there for months, or why he was trying to leave through an illegal, unofficial crossing point. It's entirely possible these are just two guys who made reckless decisions in dangerous places and got caught up in the consequences. People do lose passports, people do make bad calls when they're traveling in unstable regions, but timing is everything in geopolitics, and the timing here is genuinely impossible to ignore, especially with the Gupta trial still hanging over this entire relationship. What's also worth noting is how quiet Washington has been through all of this. No official statement, no pushback, no demand for consular access details being made public. Nothing. And when the U.S. government goes silent on two of its own citizens being detained abroad under murky charges, that silence usually means one of two things. Either they know something we don't, or they're deliberately not making noise because they don't want this turning into a bigger diplomatic mess while Gupta's case is still unresolved back home. So you tell me. Is this India quietly balancing the scales after the Gupta situation embarrassed them on the world stage? Or are we actually looking at two Americans who genuinely put themselves in bad positions and got caught up in it? Drop your take in the comments below, because this story's not slowing down, and if there really is a pattern forming here between American detentions and the Gupta fallout, we are going to be the ones tracking every single update. Hit that follow button so you don't miss where this goes next.